All right, so we are going to go over some questions from your work that was done on in math on April the 1st. So let's get started. Your daily review, you did an amazing job. There's only one question that we needed to go over on that one. The lab has 34 computers. How many students will need to share a computer when both classes are in at the same time? So the first thing I need to do is figure out, well, how many students it would be if I have both classes in the computer room. And we can use base 10, ones and tens. I'm going to build my first number, which is 21, 10, 20, and 1. I'm going to go ahead and build my second number, which is 19, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. 40 students. And it's not just 40 students, but this is for both of the classes. So the question goes on to say that there are 34 computers. So if I look at my numbers, I have 40 total students. And then I have 34 total computers. I'm going to abbreviate that. So if I look at those numbers, I already can tell that I have more students than I have computers. So then I have to think, well, how many of those students are going to be left out? Oh, excuse me. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get me some new clean space. So I'm going to make an equation. I have 40 minus some students, right? Will equal the 34 computers that I have. So I need to figure out, well, how many of those students do I need to take away in order to pair them up with a neighbor? So I'm going to go ahead and make my number line. I'm going to start off with my 40 students, and I'm going to go back until I get to 34. So here I'm at 40, which is a pretty friendly number. I'm going to jump back 5. So if I have 40 and I take away 5, I'm left with 35. Well, I'm trying to get to 34. So what do I need to take away now? You got it. I just need to take away 1. So how many students are going to have to share computers? There are 6 students that are going to need to share computers with their classmates. All right. So let's go ahead and look at our next question. Our next question was Mrs. Swanson uses exactly 36 feet to build the fence of in a rectangular garden. So I'm going to go ahead and draw her garden. And so it says that she uses exactly 36 feet to fence this garden. Well, a fence goes where? If this is her garden, where should the fence go? Is the fence going to go inside? I am looking for, what was that word we've been talking about, begins with a P? It's perimeter. I'm trying to find the perimeter of her garden. Okay, so they tell me that the perimeter is 36 feet. The next part tells me, well, which one could possibly be what she has for her perimeter? So they gave you several different options. The first option they gave you was a 20 foot by 16 foot. So we know if it's perimeter, that means I have to have all of my spaces covered. So this has to be a number. This has to be a number. So let's see. If I add up all that number is too big. I'm trying to get to 36. So I know that the first option isn't correct because that's not going to get me to my 36. So let's look at answer choice B. Answer choice B said 18 by 2 feet. So I'm going to go ahead with my equation. And we did the two big numbers first. We can do the two big numbers first again. 18 and 18. So let's add 10 and 10. So 10 plus 10 equals 20. Let's add 8 and 8. 8 plus 8 equals 16. So if I add 20 plus 6, so I know B is not my best answer choice because I haven't even added up all the sides and I've already gotten to 36. So I'm going to move on and I'm going to try the next option. All right, the next option was 13 by 5. So I'm going to label it just as I've done before. 13 by 5. And so I'm going to go ahead and start with my equation. I'm going to add up my two big numbers first. 13 plus 13 equals, I'm going to add 10 and 10, which gives me 20. Then I'm going to add 3 plus 3, which gives me 6. So 20 plus 6 equals 26. So I've added these two numbers. Let me fix that. That should say 26. All right. So these two sides together equal 10. These two sides together equal 26. Now I have to add those together. 26 plus 10 equals my 36. That was my goal. I needed to find which one would have a perimeter of 36 feet. So this was my best answer choice. All right, phone is going bananas. Let's look at just one more question. All right, so this one was also about perimeter. Remember, perimeter is going around the shape. So it says the perimeter of a rectangle. I'm going to make my rectangle. The perimeter of this rectangle is 134 centimeters. 134 centimeters. Okay. They gave me a clue. They told me one of these sides is 45 centimeters. Well, they want to know, well, what is the short side going to be? So if we're talking about perimeter, we're talking about a rectangle. We know a rectangle has opposite equal sides. So if this one is 45, this one as well is going to have to be 45. My goal is to get to here, 134. So the first thing I need to be doing is to add up the two sides that I already know. So I have 45 plus 45. All right, so I'm going to add 40 and 40. Gives me 80. Then I'm going to add 5 and 5, which gives me 10. Now I'm going to add 80 plus 10. Gives me 90. So when I add these two sides, I know I get 90. But my goal is to get to 134. So this was my first step. I have an additional step that I need to make. My next step is to figure out, well, if I'm at 90, how much more do I need in order to get to that 134? So we're going to draw our number line. Our goal is 134. And we know that we're starting at 90. So I'm going to make my first jump of 10, which gives me to 100. 100, trying to get to 34. I'm going to add 34 more. So here I have 34. Here I have 10. So 34 plus 10 equals 44. So my last step is to split this 44 into 2 equal pieces, because if it's on this side, the number also has to be the same on this side. So I can't just put 44 on both sides. This is 44 for both of the sides put together. So blank plus blank equals 44. So as I'm thinking, I know that whatever number I put in the blank has to be the same. So I can't put two different numbers. It has to be the same number, because this side of a rectangle is the same size as the opposite side of the rectangle. So these two parallel lines have to be the same amount, just like these two parallel lines had to be the same amount. So if I have 4 and I split 4 into 2 equal groups, how much would go into each group? You're right. I have to have 4 and 4 would have to be split into 2 and 2. 40 and 40 would have to be split into 20 and 20. So here is one side and here is another side. 22. 22 plus 22 equals 44. So that leads me to my answer, which is that this short side is going to be 24. The lesson 16-4. All right, hope this helped.